right, on Tuesday, you guys did a short assignment, a Schoology assignment on the basics of atom structure. So I just want to review that really quick. There's two parts to an atom. I'm going to start with the outer part. The outer part of an atom, these are called the energy levels. These are where the electrons are. And electrons are negative. On the inside is the nucleus. The inner part is the nucleus. And in the nucleus are protons, positive protons, and neutrons. So atoms have three types of subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Now that's important because this is a chart that tells us about all the different types of atoms that have been discovered. Okay, so these are the parts of an atom. Now these are the different types of atoms that are out there. This periodic tells you how reactive an atom is, how much it wants to play with another atom, or if it's not reactive, how much it wants to stay by itself. This can also tell you the mass of an atom. This can tell you the size, approximate size of an atom. We start with our smallest over here and to our largest over here. But right now, I want to focus on how protons, neutrons, and electrons, I just want to focus on that with the periodic table. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out to you is this example up here. This is silicon, okay, it's right here on the periodic table. This is an example of what every element box has in this periodic table. There's always a number on top. This is called the atomic number. Okay, atomic number. And this tells us how many protons are in an atom. And in 8th grade, you're only going to learn about stable atoms. So this number tells us how many protons and how many electrons are in an atom. Okay, protons and electrons are in an atom. Okay, this number down here, it usually has a decimal point. This is the mass of that atom. Okay, the mass of the atom comes from the protons and the neutrons. Those are the more massive parts of an atom, the inside of the atom. Electrons on the outside have hardly any mass at all. They're super duper tiny. Okay, so we have the atomic number up here at the top, atomic mass right here. Okay, so how do we find out about the neutrons? How many neutrons does a silicon atom have? Well, we have to do a little bit of math to figure that out. And we're basically going to find the difference between these two numbers. Okay, so for silicon, we have the number 14. And then we need to find the difference between the number and the mass. The mass, we need to round it to the nearest number. So 28.0 is 28. What's the difference between these two? The difference is 14. That's how many neutrons we're going to have in this atom. So a silicon atom has 14 protons, 14 neutrons, and 14 electrons. That's how you find out. That's how you use the periodic table on how to find out how many subatomic particles that atom has. So now we know the number of neutrons. Now let's talk about the layout of this chart. Okay, we have different rows going across this way. Row 1 all the way to 7. Row 1, there's only 2 in row 1. There's hydrogen and helium. Okay, these are called periods. Row 2, there's a couple here and then some more over here. That's period 2. And what these periods tell you are how many energy levels that atom has. So in row 1, hydrogen will only have 1 energy level. In row 2, lithium will have 2 energy levels. And you'll learn more details about it next year in 8th grade. But for now, this is all we need to know, okay? So then row 3, these guys will have 3 energy levels. And then so on and so on. Row 4 will have 4. Okay, and then it goes all the way to 7. So those are the rows. Now let's talk about the columns. We are only going to learn about the main columns in 8th grade. So this is the main column here. 2, and I'm looking at 1A, 2A, 2. We're going to skip over this. These guys are a little different, and you'll learn more about them in high school. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. These are the columns, the main columns. Okay? And these columns are called groups. And they tell us about how many electrons are in the outer part, but you'll learn more about that in 8th grade. Just know that the 8 main columns are these guys right here, and they're called groups. Okay. All right, so I want to do a little practice with you on finding out how many neutrons we have in an atom. We're going to basically do what we did here, but instead of with silicon, we're going to use another atom. So let's do neon. Let's work on neon. Okay, so we want to know how many protons, neutrons, and electrons neon has. Okay, so if you remember from up here, this top number here is the atomic number. It tells us how many protons and electrons. So we can find that out easy. So that's a 10. So there's 10 protons and 10 electrons. But now we have to try and figure out how many neutrons. So again, we're going to take this top number, the atomic number, and we're going to find the difference between that number and the mass number. And down here we have to round it to the nearest number. So we have 10 and 20. What's the difference between 10 and 20? Okay, it's 10. So there's going to be 10 neutrons. And that's all we're going to go over for now. Make sure you have all of this information on your notes because you're going to use this information for the rest of the week. Let me zoom in a little bit. Make sure you have all of this. You need to know what periods are and what they mean. Okay, periods tell you how many energy levels. Okay, for now, you just need to know where the main groups are. You need to know how to find out the neutrons by taking the difference between those two numbers. Okay, and then you're going to use that information for the rest of the lessons until the end of school. Okay, hold on to these or give them to your teacher, whatever you guys want to do, but make sure you don't lose them. Have a good day, guys.